Hello everyone, and welcome back to the world of Nareus. This is episode 3 of the Chronicles of the Southern Coalition, adventure number 2. After our adventurers had cleared out the upper part of that cavern of last adventure, they realized they needed to get back to town or get back up and get some rest and recover from some of the damage, and poor Jaren was feeling sick from the disease he was still carrying. So they decided to head back up. They did inform the watch of Uruk that there was some goblins that they had tied up in the one of the cavern areas, and they went and recovered the goblins, and then they interrogated them, or what we would say questioned them, and they immediately gave up all they knew. They had followed the large orc that they had faced in the cavern. His name was Cracks. They followed him up through some deeper dungeons into this location. They came across the cellar of the sporting boar, and they realized it was time for them to, they could stay here and be safe and have readily available food and drink. So they decided to put camp up here. And of course then our brave adventurers came along and decided that they were evicting them from that location. So they decided to, the goblins now had decided that it was better for them to tell what they knew. They didn't know much. They were questioned about the stone coronet that they had found last adventure, the adventurers, and Cracks was wearing it when they were fighting him. Supposedly it came off of a stone statue deeper into the caverns of some old figure. The goblins weren't very clear about what it was. So one of the scholars in town was looking into it, but they could not recognize anything valuable on the stone coronet to help them look into this deeper. After a few days' rest, the adventurers were approached by Sten Doran, who is the watch commander of Uruk, and he requested if they would look deeper into the cavern to verify that it was either closed off or that they could figure out where it was going, so they wouldn't get any more surprises, especially coming up into the middle of town. So they agreed to go, and they've agreed to look into this deeper. There is a watch down inside of the cavern. They are beyond the wall of the cellar. The cellar is now apportioned off, some storage and some as a small waypoint for the city watch and also for adventurers to get through there. Of course, Talon, being the person not to take to find a way to take advantage of any situation, has set up a small amount of he charges a little bit of people some money to go and look inside the cavern, especially people that have never done any adventuring. That is exciting for them, and so the watch is having to deal with that too. So after a few days rest, and then after agreeing with Sten, they decide to go check out the cavern a little bit deeper. Sten did offer them that they would be provided supplies, and they would also be given 60 gold pieces as a group once they return and bring back any useful information about the deeper caverns. So with that, our adventurers will be heading off and going into the deeper dungeon. We will be right back. So the adventurers make their way through the known part of the caverns, and they did find that entrance in the southern part of the cavern, an exit from that portion of it, and they decided to head back to town. So they know exactly where they need to go. And there's obviously some watch and some guards that are actually patrolling some of the part of the cavern down the part that they've already explored. So our adventurers tonight, and if you're just joining us, this is Alindra. She is an elf thief wizard. It's here, and that's her figure. I'm not using the figures for anything except for placeholder, but it kind of gives you an idea of what the character looks like. Jaren. He is a human ranger. And then finally we have Thorum, who is a dwarf cleric. And I do give a little bit more background in episode 1 about who they are and how they met and why they're adventuring together. So as we'll start the adventure right now. So they come down. Alindra cast light upon one of her a small necklace that she carries with her, that she so they can get some light around them, because Thorm can see in the dark. He has dark vision, but Jaren can't see in the dark, and Alindra can see in low light, but she can't see in complete darkness, which the cavern is at right now. So they hit the southern entrance, or the southern exit that was on the map last time, and then they go down about 30 feet or so, and then they come into this entrance of this cavern here. This cavern is pretty much just natural hewn stone. It doesn't look like it's been even touched with a chisel or some type or any kind of workmanship. You can hear some water dripping. Thinking if she has cast light, because it is dark down here. Jaren decides that he will attempt to do some tracking. Since he's a ranger, he can track. And we're using the siege engine. It's from Castles and Crusades, is the system I'm using for the game. So he is trained. It's a wisdom-based stat, and he is trained in wisdom, or his wisdom is preferred stat. So he gets a base 12. I'm going to put a +4 level on it, so it's a 16. So, and he gets his bonus in his level, so he's +2, +1, so 3. So he gets +3 to this roll. If it happens to be a humanoid or a giant, he gets a +2 to this, but I'll depend upon what he's going to see. Well, he rolls a 19, so so if you see that, he gets a 19 +3 is 22. He does notice some tracks that kind of meander throughout the whole of this area. Some of it he determines to be some of the goblins and orcs that they had met or had faced in the other part of the cavern. He does notice some other strange tracks, and they head deeper south, but they come from the deeper south, and they may seem to return there, but he doesn't recognize the tracks right away. They don't look anything like a humanoid that he's faced, or even if they are humanoid or not. So he tells everybody that he says, we need to be wary here. We're not sure what's down here, and it seems to be some tracks that have been something has been in this room recently, beyond our orcs and goblins. So they take that into account, and so they start to go slowly. The marching order is going to be Thorum, who's got pretty much the heaviest armor. He's wearing banded mail, and he's carrying a shield. And it'll be Thorum and Jaren, and then Alindra. As you see, as they're lined up here, that'll be what we do. Unless there is a need for other type of marching, that'll be what it'll be standardized. So they decide to move on to the next part of the cavern. So they move down. As they get to here, Alindra may have heard something. I'm going to see if she heard. Oh, no, she didn't. She just made, the nervousness and being in an unfamiliar territory, she thinks she heard something. But as they walk into this room, they are surprised by something. And let us find out what it is. I'm going to roll on this random chart that's available on DriveThruRPG. It has all the creatures from the Monster Manual or Monster and Treasure Guide for Castles and Crusades, and it just gives you a random numbering. And I'm going to use the Dungeon Underground Encounters, and it's for levels 1 through 3. Of course, I get the final say in what shows up, but let's see what happens. Ooh, that's an 11. Excuse me, didn't mean to bump that. One moment. So as the party is walking into this cavern area, Alindra did actually hear something, but she didn't pick up on it. She just thought she heard something, but there was a scrabble sound. And as they are walking in here, a creature attacks from above, and the creature looks like this. It's a cave fisher. It had not had a chance to extend its trap line, but it does attack it does get a round of surprise on the adventurers because they did not hear it. So it's right about here. And it gets a round of surprise. It will attempt to attack Thorum, who is walking up first. So it is attacking with its 2 claws. So it is not round 1 yet. We're still doing surprise round. So we will do that. It's a 3 hit dice creature. So it's +3 to hit. Its first attack is a 22, which definitely hits Thorum's 19 armor class. And it does, wow, 2d4. That's not good for Thorum. So it does a total of 3 damage. So he takes 3, and I'll do the next attack just in case. And it misses with the second claw. So he takes 3 points, and he's like, oh! And this creature screeches out, and it tries to grab Thorum and make a tasty meal of him. And we are at initiative now that the surprise round is over. And I'm using the same colors for their wounds as who they represent, and then the red will be the creatures I have red. I have a kind of primary colors for using for monsters, and then the fancier colors are for the our heroes. So this is the now in Siege Engine it's a D10, so I'll just half this or ignore the 10 spot. So Thorum gets a 1, Jaren gets a 7. Ooh, Alindra gets an 8. Oh, so does the creature. I am going to let the creature go first because he's still in surprise round. And it's round 1. So the creature, so I'm going to put these over here. So they get out of the way. So the creature attempts to, it's still hanging down far enough where it can actually attack. So it attempts to attack Thorum again. Ooh, that is the +3. That's a 21. That's a hit. And the second attack, that is a 2. That's a miss. So he does, on his second, and his, well, he does 2 damage. Okay, whew, that's good. So he's still hurt. But he hasn't grabbed Thorum, which is good. So this creature's 3 hit dice. It's D8. So let's see how many hit points it has. 14. He has 14 hit points. Good. Okay. And his AC is 17. Wow, that's pretty high for being up there. All right. So we have Alindra. I'm going to say this creature is in range for them to melee or range since it has attacked Thorum and he's pretty short. So that he would have to be here pretty close. So she's going to draw her short sword and she screams at the creature, "Foul beast!" She swings her short sword. It's AC 17. Her attack bonus is +2. She doesn't get any other attack bonus. She's using a strength, so she gets +2 to hit. She rolls an 18. +2 is a 20. That's a good hit. So she's going to do D6 +1. So she does a total of 6. Good hit. So she has gone. Good hit. That brings it down to 8. So the creature's too busy focusing on Thorum right now. Jaren notches a bow back. He's got his bow out already because he's a trained ranger and he likes to carry his composite longbow ready. He decides to shoot an arrow at the creature. He has a total for his longbow is a +4 for right now. And that rolls off, but it's a 6. +4 is a 10, so that's a miss. And then Thorum, who's been hit by this creature several times, using his broadsword, which is his deity's favored weapon, he yells, "By Doru, you will not harm me again," and he swings at it. He has a +3 to hit, and he rolls an 11. 8 + 3, so he misses. So we are back at the top of the round 2. All right, oh, okay, good. She gets to go. Ooh, no, the creature is at 10. A 1 and a 17 or so there. So that's the order again. Okay, well, the creature changes focus. It's animal intelligence. No, he's going to keep going after the creature he's got his claws into. So he's going to keep going after Thorum. So +3 on this attack. First swing is a 15, which Thorm's armor class is 19. He puts the shield up and blocks it. Now that he knows the creature's there, and he rolls an 8 again, so that's 11. So he misses both times. Thorm has gotten his footing, and he's realized he can now fend this creature off and what the creature's doing. And now it's Alindra's turn. She's felt like she can swing with that sword again, so she's going to go with her short sword again and roll a 2 plus her bonus is 4, so that's a miss. Thorum is angered. Again, he yells, by Doru, I will stop you, using his broadsword. 12 plus 3 is 15. He misses barely. The creature's hard chitinous shell blocks the blow, doesn't take any damage. And then Jaren again pulls an arrow, attempts to shoot at him. Ooh, rolls an 18. Excellent. 18 plus his 4 is a 22. That's definitely a hit. Now, since he is a ranger, if this was a humanoid or a giant, he would get bonus damage for it, for this hit attack. But this is not a humanoid creature. This is almost like a silverfish, if you've ever seen those things, it looks like to me, but it's huge. He rolls 4, so it's a D8 on the composite longbow arrow, so it's 4 damage on the creature. Very good. The arrow sticks into one of the plating, between the plating of his chitinous armor. And now we're back to the top of round 3. Make sure you see that. Oh, Alindra and the creature are vying for first place all the time. So Alindra this time gets to go first. She is going to swing with her short sword. She has a +2 to hit. Ooh, a natural 20. Now how I do crits in this game is you get maximum damage for the weapon plus a D4 plus any bonuses. So the maximum damage for a short sword is a 6. So she's 6 plus a D4, which is 4 and 10, and she gets a +1 damage. So she does 11 points of damage, which is definitely enough to kill this creature. She hews it, and she hews the head off this thing, and she's, stay away, and the head just lops off. And Thorum nods his head at her and says, nice job. Thank you for coming to my rescue. And the creature is now gone. So this creature, they notice that there is a pile of maybe some bones and stuff over in this corner over here, maybe somewhere the creature is not attached to the ceiling. It actually crawls up there and hangs from it, but it can move off there. Looks like there has been some maybe some goblins and some other creatures that have wandered into its lair and have been consumed over time, and it looks like there's remains here. Let's see if the party digs through and sees if there's anything they can find or some information or even treasure. Let's check this out. So we're using this treasure table, which is also in that table book you can get off of Drive-Thru-RPG, which is a great resource there for this, for doing random stuff. So it's a type 2 treasure, is what it says, or yeah. So we're going to roll and see if we find anything. We use Alindra's dice because she was pivotal in getting this done. So type 2 is 55% chance of finding any gold. And they 31, they find some gold. Excellent. It is 44 times 10. So it's 4, 5. Nice roll. So 10 times 10 gold. That's 100 gold. I'm marking it over here on the chart. Scattered throughout that room, there was, I guess, some extra bodies and stuff, and maybe some packs that were not seen before. Excellent. There's a 20% chance of any gems being there. 65, nope. Extraordinary items, let's see if there's anything in there. 67, nope. And there's a 10% chance of magic items. Ooh. 46. No magic, but they did find a good stash of gold, which is great. Sorry, I'm having to block out the stuff just for fun. So they basically search around this whole area in here, and that's probably where they find some extra gold and stuff. The cave fisher had made its kind of home here, and maybe it was away, or maybe it had decided not to attack the goblins and orcs the first time, or maybe it took a straggler and they never saw it again. So the adventurers decided to move over to here. As they come into this room, they notice that there's a big middle pillar in the center. It's like part of the rock wall, but they can see that it kind of goes up into here, and they traverse into here. And they notice that there's, they don't see anything. There's still rough-hewn cavern walls. There's there's probably dirt and debris, and maybe the goblins stayed here an evening. There's some leftover trash and stuff, but nothing worthwhile. Jaren says, "Let me see if I can find something before we move farther." So he kind of moves over area over here where they've not walked in. He's going to see if he can track it. I'm going to give him a +5 again because he's not familiar with this area, but it's base 12 because his wisdom is one of his primaries, his preferred primary attributes. So it's 12 +5 is 17. He gets a +2 +1 is a 3. So he gets +3 on this roll. He rolls a 17 +3 is a 20. So he basically does notice that the tracks around this area over here were most of them look humanoid, and he assumes it's goblinoid orc, as they seem to be going through and heading up into the other parts of the cavern that they've discovered and looked into. So he decides that maybe this is where they stayed, and he looks up here and he says, yeah, looks like a campsite where they stayed before they kept going, maybe a few days. He doesn't seem to notice anything else, though. So they decide to, before they move on, he notices Storm is limping. He says, "Storm, are you okay?" He says, "Yes, I was hurt pretty bad by that." He says, "Well, why don't you heal yourself? Call upon the power of your deity to help you." Storm says, "I was saving it for if one of you needed it." And both Alindra and Jaren says, "Please, just take care of yourself. You're limping, and we don't want you to be hurt." So he invokes Doru's blessing, and he receives some healing from Doru, and he gets 2 hit points, so he's back up to 7. His max at this point is 10, but that's better than being thing. So he has spent one of his spell points, or one of his mana points. So they strike on into the deeper parts of the dungeon. As they walk into here and they notice more like multiple pathways through, they decide to come here, and they decide, do we want to go farther south or go east? West. And they decide, let's just keep going. Let's go in this direction. So they walk into here, and as they're walking in there, they hear some kind of a murmuring. They're not sure what it is. So they all stop, and Alindra decides to sneak up a little bit, since that's one of her good skills, and maybe even listen what she can figure out. So her move silently is dex based and as one of her primary. So base 12, I'm going to give this a +4, so it's a 16. She gets +2 to this. Plus her dex, so it's going to be 6, 7, because she gets a bonus for moving silently as being an elf. So +7. Oh, she rolls a 1. She's walking up and she starts to stumble. She didn't see some of the ground level has started to shift, not shift in the sense of like moving, but it's uneven ground, and she trips and she stumbles against the wall and makes a bunch of noise, and all of a sudden they hear something from the back in this area over here. Unfortunately, her noise has caught the attention of a flock of sturges. Sturges are, they look like this, if you've ever seen one before. They are nasty creatures. They are usually in large flocks. I'm going to say on this one, there could be D6 plus 3 of them. So there's going to be 9 sturges. I'm going to put a marker here for 9 of them. Wow. As she stumbles around the corner and makes a bunch of noise, the creatures kind of fly up from right about here, and they all kind of like, you know, you hear the, like bats, they kind of come after, and they start screeching and coming after the noise they saw. They're hungry because they've been stuck in this, they are been living here, and they have needed to have sustenance. So they have been kind of sleeping and kind of hibernating. But now that they have found food, they will decide it's time to feast. So we will go to initiative. No surprise around this one. They are level hit dice 1, but they have a special ability. They do get +3 to attack rolls, and they have an ability of attachment. We'll get to that when it happens, if it does. So they have D6 hit points. I'm going to give them 4 hit points each. I'm marking the wounds down. All right, so here is initiative as it all rolls off. Okay, so they get a 1, and so does Thorm. 9 and 3. All right. Sturges are fast. They're pretty fast. I'm going to let them go first before Thorm. So, Jaren, hearing the noise, and he's I'm going to say he's going to do a nature check real quick. Has he ever run into these creatures? 6? No, he doesn't know. But he hears the screeching and the noise. He moves forward, and he has his bow cocked. And they're coming up from here. He basically just releases an arrow to see if he can knock one down. So they are AC 16. Oh, he rolls a good hit. So they are not humanoid, so he does not get a bonus of damage, but he does get D8 damage on them. And he kills one straight out. The arrow flies right through. So there's down to 8. Good shot, Jaren. And now that he's gone, Alindra says, I wonder if I can knock some out with my sleep. She takes a little bit of sand out of her pouch, and she hurls it towards them while using somatic gestures to cause a sleep effect to go on some of them if possible. So they do not get a saving throw with sleep, but she does do, so she spends one of her spell slots or her mana points. She does 2d4 of hit dice of creatures falling asleep. She gets 4 plus 1 is 5. So 5 hit dice. So we have, we'll use this, 5 of them. There's 4 still active, and there's 5 that are asleep. She got 5, and there's 1 dead, so there's actually only 3 that are still active. So 5 are asleep. They fall back here, and the others come forward, and they're coming at them. But that was a great use of a spell to knock some of them out of the sky. So they come forward, and I'm going to put 2, since Thorm hasn't gone yet, he hasn't moved up, I'm going to use 2 will go on Alindra, because she was the one that kind of woke them up, and 1 will go on Jaren because he's up there with her. Oh, it's round 1 too, just in case. I'll round 1 also, actually. So I'll put this over here. So 2 on Alindra, her AC is 16. They do get a +3 to attacks, being wily creatures. So they get a 13 and a 16, which is just enough to hit. Now, they do D3 damage, but they also try to attach their proboscis, or whatever they call that, their little sucky thing. It's like they're like huge mosquitoes. If you've ever been hit by a mosquito, these are even scarier. So it does D3, so that's going to be 3 points of damage to poor Alindra, and it's going to try and attach itself and start sucking blood and sustenance like a mosquito does. She needs to make a strength check to to break free. So her strength is not her primary, so it's going to be 18. And then their level is +1, so it's going to be 19 to break free. Doesn't give a CL, so it's just going to be their level. Okay, so she needs, and her strength is +1, so she needs pretty high. She rolls a natural 20. This creature has made her like, oh, gross, and as this thing tries and grabs onto her, she just smacks it away with the flat of her sword, and it just like, flies off. It doesn't get a chance to attach to her. She goes, watch out, they're coming, they're going to try and attach to you. And they're all looking at her like, what? Since they've never faced these before, as far as we know. And then now Thorum moves forward and he says, I've got this. And he comes forward with his sword and he tries to attack the one that was attacking Alindra, or hurt her. He rolls a 14. He gets a +2 total with his, well, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. He gets +3 total with his broadsword, so that's a 17. Their AC is 16. He does hit. He does 2d4. Broadswords are 2d4 plus his strength modifier, which is +3. So he does 2d4 +3. So it's 3 + 3 is 6, so he does kill another one. So that's great. So there's only 2 active. The rest are asleep right now. So we go to the top of round 2. Get all these. All right, 4, 5. Oh, they get to go together. Ooh, a 1. Good, good, good. All right, so I'm going to say Alindra has a higher dex, so she gets to go before Thorum. Yes, his dex is not as high as hers. So she gets to go first. So Jaren, as the one attacking him, he draws takes his longbow in just one hand, and he draws his longsword out and tries to swing at the one. Since he's now engaged, he's not going to use his bow in close combat, but he doesn't have to drop it. He just holds on to it while he's swinging with the sword. So he has a +3 to hit. He rolls a 2, so that's a 5, so that's a miss. Alindra has her short sword ready. She decides to try and swing at the one attacking her, or the other one attacking her, and rolls an 18. Excellent. 18 + 2 is a 20, so she has enough to hit. Her damage is d6 + 1. She does 2 points, so there's one with 2 points left. And then Thorum gets to go, and he will go after the same one. That's on Alindra. And he rolls a 5, which is not good, because that's a miss. And then the creatures get to go. One on Alindra. Rolls a 7, + 3 is a 10. And then against Jaren, rolls another 7, + 3 is a 10. That's another miss. Jaren has an AC of 18, and that's a total miss. So now we go back up to turn 3. So it's third round. She cast the spell on first round, so they're still going to be out for another couple of rounds. So if they can knock these 2 out, they can dispatch the others that are asleep. These creatures are animal level intelligence, so they're not going to realize about waking up their friends or their compatriots. They're busy trying to attack them. So hopefully they can dispatch of these 2, and they may be able to handle the others really quick. All right, so 19, 5 and 5. Oh, they both tie again, so again, we'll do that. Oh, and he's got a 10. So he is first. The Sturges are first. All right, against Alindra. A 7 + 3 is a 10. That's a miss. And against Jaren is an 11. + 3 is 14. That's another miss. All right. So Jaren, trying to swing his broadsword or his longsword at the creature that's just dived at him. He rolled a 16. And his attack value on longsword is +3. 19, that's definitely a hit. These are not humanoid, so he doesn't get the damage bonus for being a ranger, but he does have a +3 damage, so he's going to dispatch it no matter what I roll, but I'll roll anyway for fun. That's a 9, so he does kill it. So we're down to 1 living, or 1 awake and 5 asleep. And then it's Alindra's turn. She rolls a 7 + 2. That's a 9. That is a miss. And then Thorum, helping out Alindra, Rolls an 8. I guess he's trying to help out. He's really not doing much of a good job. But, you know, he's there. All right, turn 4. Initiative. Ooh, I forgot to roll the Sturgis. Ooh, they got a 9. All right, that's the order. Alindra, the one on her, attacking her. She, no, she will hold off. Oh, rolls a 1. So a 1 is a critical miss. No bonuses can even fix that. And then she's so distraught with this thing, trying to attach it to her, like her arm or something. She swings her sword and it flies out of her hand. And so she's going to have to spend time to get that sword back next turn. So the Sturge going after her. Oh, rolls a 19. So it does D3 damage. So it does 1 damage to her. She's at 3 left. And then it tries to, she needs to make a strength check. Ah, so it has attached itself to her. Okay. Ooh. So it has attached itself to her and will start doing damage to her as he drains blood from her. Thorum, realizing what has happened, he turns the blade sideways, so he's using the flat of the blade to at least just knock the wet creature off of her, or at least to knock it out so they can remove it safely. Rolls a 17. Plus 3 is a 20. Definite hit. I marked that up, knocked it over. So he does, yeah, he does plenty. 7 plus his total of 3, so 10. He does enough, and the way he flipped his blade around, it's not going to hurt her. And he does knock it out. And then he says, don't pull it out, don't pull it out. It may be something like a leech or something that may hurt you when you take it out. Let's see if we can take it. Jaren, go kill the rest of them. So as Thorum is looking at Alindra's arm, Jaren goes and dispatches the rest of them. They don't want them waking up. And they are successfully with that. So I'm going to make Thorum, he would have some healing ability, and so does Jaren. Once they get done, they both look at each other and they say, well, let's try this. He's going to use his wisdom to attempt to see if he can remove it, since that would be something he would have a knowledge of. He's got a +4 to his wisdom stat, and I'm going to make this so that's his preferred or primary, so he's base 12. I'm going to make it a +4 since I'll make it a +5 because it's 17, because he's not done this before, but he has familiarity with like healing, so he's not that bad, but it's still tough because he's never done something of this level before. So he needs a 17. He does get a +4. I'm going to see if Jaren can assist him. If Jaren is also wisdom primary, so if they have the same primary, I usually let them assist because they kind of can leave it, work with each other. He rolls an 8. I'm going to give him a +1 because it was an 11 total. Plus his wisdom is +2, yeah, +1 for his level 3. So I'm going to give him a +1. So he gets a +1 from the assist, +4 plus his level. So he's at a 6 right now. And he rolls a 9. That's a 15. Oh no. So as they're trying to remove it, it does damage her a little bit as it is removed. It does 2 points. Wow, she's down to 1. She screams. And he goes, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with these creatures. And he basically calls upon Doru to heal his friend. Does 4 health. So it heals for 4 with his last of his cure lights. So she is now at a 5. So they say, well, we must go carefully now. I am unable to heal beyond normal, medical skills. But I thank Doru for helping us this far. So they search around where the nest was of the Sturges, probably right over here in this area, and to see if they can find anything that may be worthwhile, maybe even some information or whatever, what this cave is, or even something that they could use for future. So they are treasure type 1. I'm going to use storms. Type 1 is 50% chance to have some gold. Oh, a dot 09, so they have 9. So they do have 2d4 times 10. 80 gold. Wow, they had been here for a while. I guess that's pretty good. They also have a chance of having gems. 10% chance of gems. 59, nope. Extraordinary items, 10% chance. 93, nope. And then 5% chance of finding a magic item. 45, so no, nothing there, but they did find some gold scattered across the nest, maybe from some previous victims or stuff. They may be seeking after things when they're running around trying to find food. They may even carry stuff back with their claws. Animal intelligence doesn't mean that they don't see shiny things and think, ooh, shiny. So they decide to head up here. We'll just do this. As they come around here, they notice, wow, this is a big cavern area. It looks like you can see all the way through. And as they see actually some, I'll draw a little bit of water here. They actually see like some kind of an underground stream flowing through there. As they move into here, they are looking to see if Jaren will attempt to see if he can find any tracks. A 9, I'm going to say it's a 17 base. Now, he does not notice any tracks. He got a 9 plus his wisdom bonus. And it would not help if it was a humanoid or not. +1, so he gets a 12 base. 14 if he was like, if there were humanoids or something around here. No, he still doesn't notice anything. But they do hear the stream running through here. Like an underground stream, and you can see it's running. They go and investigate it, and it's actually running this direction. And they look at it, and Jaren, who he's survived in the wilderness and stuff, he goes and tests the water. He says, yes, it's clean water, so we can stay here for a few minutes to rest up if you'd like. So the stream's probably about 3.5, 4 feet wide, and it's not very deep, and it's running through, and it's very clear water. It looks like it's been filtered by the rocks and stuff as it goes through the underground areas. And so they move over to here and decide to stay for a few minutes, rest up. Maybe they can do some bandaging and, healing up and everything. I'm going to give 1 hit point back to each of them, just for taking a moment to rest and bandage up and refresh themselves. They spend about 2 hours there, and as they're doing that, Jaren will move around and stuff. There's nothing in the other part of the cave. He did investigate a little bit, look around. Looks like it may have been some places where creatures have come to sleep, maybe drink the water, but there's nothing there of value or anything of interest to them. So a few hours later, they decide it's time to go on. So they move over to here, and then they start investigating up here. And Alindra, being an elf, she actually can hear some stuff once in a while. Oh, and she does. She says, shh, there's something up ahead. I hear murmuring of some type or some kind of low talking. I can't make out the sounds, though. I can't make out what it is. So she says, let me attempt to move forward. So she attempts to do another move silently. So I'm going to call it, her base is 12. I'm going to call it a +5, 17. So she gets a +2 for being her class abilities. It's dex based, so she gets +4, 6, 7. +7 to this roll. She rolls a 15. Still not enough to be super silent, but she doesn't fail critically, so she does move up to here. And attempting to listen, she already tried that. She does scruff a couple of rocks and stuff she didn't see. Again, the ground is uneven, and she's not used to the darkness. The light is bright enough, but she also, as she's walking around the corner, she forgot she had the light out, and the creature stopped talking, or whatever was making the noise. And she peeks around the corner, and what does she see? as Alindra pokes around her head around the corner, the light from her pendant shining over there, she looks and she sees the reflection from the eyes of creatures like you see in cats looking at her, and then they shine away and they scamper away from the light, but they also start screaming and start making hideous noises. And as to her horror, she sees like remnants of like arms and legs laying on the ground like they've been feasting on some kind of a humanoid creature. And this is what she sees: a Bauk. Two of those have made their domicile here and were feasting on some underground humanoid. Unfortunately, she interrupted them. And now, since they were shying away from the light, but then they realize they have no place to go, they have now become angered and they start heading towards her. Rolling for initiative. These are 3 hit dice creatures. And they tend to be scared of light, but when they're cornered, like most creatures, they will fight to the death. So I'm going to give them, they are AC 14 and 3 hit dice. Oh, only D4s though on hit dice. Okay, well, let's do that. I'm going to give them 6 hit points each. There's 2 of them. All right. Alindra, Jared. Oh, they go first. They've moved into, she's come into their home, into their place, and has threatened them. Jaren has a higher dex, so I'll let him go first. And they come after her. One of them is shying away, so will not be able to attack her right away, but he's moving up. The other one is up here and comes right at her. He has to move, so he's only going to get... he does get 2 attacks. Wow, okay. So, his first attack is the claw. Oh, that's off the table. Ooh, 17. That's a hit. I get 3 plus 3 is a 20. Her AC is a 16. It does D6 damage. Oh no. Oh, it drops her. She's now at 0. And the claw, it hits 2. So she is now at, that only does D4, right? Oh, the claw does D6. The bite. It did try to bite her, too. Ooh. So she is now at -3. Good thing. Turn it upside down to show that she's at -3. Oh, no. So as her friends are watching, she steps forward and then something drops her and she screams and she falls to the ground. No, Alindra! Jaren rushes forward and takes a shot at this one as he moves up closer, and he sees what's attacking her, and as he's moving forward, he shoots with his bow. And rolls a 1. Okay, well, he's moving forward, he's shocked, and he drops his bow and his arrow. He doesn't get a shot off at all. No! And then Thorum, moving forward, attempting to take the beast away from, distract the beast. He rolls a 12. Plus a 3 is 15, and their AC is 14. So he does hit. He's like, by Doru, you shall not hurt her anymore. Wow, max damage, nice. 4 plus 3, 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So he just runs forward and with his mighty cry lops the head off of the one that just attacked Alindra. And it screams one bloody curl and falls over dead. And the other one screams and comes after him. And he's like, Jaren, let's stop this creature. So she is out. She doesn't get to roll initiative. 1 creature left. Coming at them. At least they stopped him from attacking Alindra, who is now not at bad state, but she's still unconscious. Okay, ooh, I guess these guys are very angry. Thorum, angered as he was about his friend being hurt seriously, steps forward and takes a swing at the oncoming creature. 6 plus 3 is 9. He does miss. Jaren moves forward, drawing his longsword also, stepping. Both of them have interposed themselves between Alindra's body and the creature. And Jaren swings. 9 plus a 3 is 12. Not enough to hit the creature, but he has distracted the creature. Thorum yelling and screaming, and the creature seeing him not lob the head off of its compatriot, decides to go after Thorum. They have average intelligence. Yes, they would know. They kind of look like golems in a way. A golem. Oh, hits Thorum 20 with the claw. That's going to be 6 points. No. Plus 1 is 7. So 7 damage. You didn't see any bonuses. So 7 on Thorum. Ouch. He's got 1 left. And his bite misses. 7 plus 3 is 10. And he's got armor 19. Oh, man. These guys got to dispatch this creature. They're both hurting bad. That is cocked. Okay. That was a 17. 17 and a 5 and a 1. Okay, good. As the creature is focusing on Thorum, Jaren steps around the back and gets a little bit of a bonus on attack for having... He moves to the rear of the creature, getting a +2 to hit. +2 on this, so he's +2 plus 3 is 5. A natural 20. Excellent. They're up here. That is a full-on damage. That's critical hit. That's 8 plus a d4. 1. So that's 9 plus his strength bonus, which is 12. Just enough. Again, as the creature's attacking Thorum and he's got a hold of him, he takes his blade and sticks it right into his back and sticks it right through him and drops the creature. And the creature, grabbing onto Thorum, just falls over dead. Those foul creatures, they've hurt Alindra. They do spend a few seconds attempting to staunch the bleeding, and so she is now unconscious, but she's no longer in danger of dying. She's just unconscious, and they don't really have any way to get her back up to a particular level or in particular health right this moment. So while Thorum is doing that, Jaren is going to search the room just to make sure that there's no evidence of whatever they're looking for here. So they are treasure type 3. Thorum is searching. So they have a 60% chance of 98. Nope, no gold. Do they have any gems? 20. Yes, they do. D4 plus 2 gems. So 6 gems. Wow. So they are 3, so it's a -6 gem adjustment value. So where does he? So on the gems, I'm going to roll for 3 and 3. So that's going to be a 15, so it's going to 9. So they find some 3 amethysts. And there's going to be 5 gold each. And they're going to roll for another set of 3 just to speed it up a little bit. 23, so it's going to be a 17. So they're going to find some opals. 3 opals. And that's going to be 10 gold each. All right, so then he goes on to extraordinary items. 85, nope. And then finally, magic item. 98, nope, no magic items. So after the search and they realize that they've got to get some help for Alindra and they don't have any ability to do that, they decide that they're going to go back to the tavern real quick, see what they can get done. So they travel out. They know this area. They decide to be as quietly as possible. They drag her. They make a makeshift, stretcher from some parts they found and some broken up bits, and they carry her. They drag her out and get her to the tavern. And the guards there immediately dispatch for one of the town, one of the town's healers, and they tell her that they're going to bring her to them. So they do bring Alindra to the healer, and they help her get back up. And they spend the day. They do spend an extra day there. They just said we just can't go any farther. So they all get a little bit of help. I'm going to say they do both all get back up to healing for the next day. And so they spend a day. Let's say 2 days, because they want to tell what's happened to what they're discovering, what's happening. Stin realizes that it may be tougher than what they can handle, so he basically offers them a small little box, and inside the box there's 3 potions, and he says these will help with any healing you need. Basically, he hands them each 1 potion of Cure Light Wounds for each of them. So they all thank him for it, and they realize that they really do need help. If this will be nice to have as backups. So they do get their spell mana points back. So they do head back into the cavern. They're more careful this time going past this part here, realizing that that's where they were. Excuse me. They were. They basically say, "Oh, there's nothing back here." So they come down to here. They feel like they've done all what they can do up here, and they decide to come into here. And so as they're going through, Jaren, before they move into it, says, "Let me check, see for any kind of tracks." He's still kind of distraught, and he doesn't see any tracks. That would be something that they need to be careful of. So, but as they're walking through here, they all catch light that there's some kind of a light source coming from over in this area here, and it's not from them. Obviously, she's cast light again to help them see. They come over to here, and inside this area is a humanoid statue. It's been so eroded that you really can't tell who or what it was. It's probably a taller humanoid, so it's probably either elf or human, or half elven of some type, or it could be even an orc of some type. It's that, but it's not bulky like they're expecting. But as they're inspecting it, Thorum, who has some skill in some crafting from his family, realizes that the head looks like it should have been able to hold something, and he realizes that's where the coronet came from. That's where the orc found it. But there's no insignia, there's nothing on here, but the statue, the only thing that's strange about the statue, it's pointing with its right arm, it's pointing this direction. And they all look at each other and like, that's kind of strange. What is he pointing to? And as Alindra's walking by this section right here, her money sense kicks out. Says, there's something right here in this little spot here. And so she does a check, and she realizes that there's like a secret or hidden cache there. And so she's looking at it. She's like messing with it, and he goes, "Be careful. They may be trapped or something." So she attempts as she can find traps. So it is an intelligence based. That is her one of her preferred. So it's going to be 12. I'm going to make it a +5 because she's unfamiliar with this area. So it's a 17, but she does get the intelligence bonus, which is +4, plus her level, +2. So that's a total of 7 to see if there's anything traps. And she rolls a 7, so that's a 14. She doesn't think there's any traps. So she tells him, I don't see anything. I think I can figure out how to open this up. So she pulls out her small lock-picking kit, and she unrolls it, sits down, and while she's doing that, the other 2 are kind of keeping an eye out for any kind of stragglers or any kind of an attack. Thorum is looking at the base of the statue too to see if he can find any writing or insignias. So while she's doing that, Thorum is doing a search. I'll give him a wisdom check. Oh yeah. So it's a total of 16. He does notice that on the bottom of the back side of the statue there is some writing. And it is not in any kind of language he can understand. But he doesn't. He starts to clean it off a little bit so that maybe Alindra, when she's done, can look at it. But before she opens the trap, she says, let me go over and take a look. So she looks at the writing, and the writing is written in a language she can't even read. So she hands Thorum some paper, some parchment, and says, do a write. And she hands him some, like a writing implement would be kind of like a chalk or like what is it called? Like some kind of soot. He says, do a rubbing on it so we can bring it up to the people in Uruk, and maybe they know what it is. So he does a rubbing to get the writing. While Thorum's doing that, and Jaren is keeping an eye out, she goes over and attempts to unlock the trap or the door that she's found, the hidden cache. So she has a pick lock, open lock. It's Dex, no bonus. I'm gonna make it a 17. Again, but she gets +4, +1, so she gets +5 total on this. And she rolls a 16, 21. With deft hands, she kind of looks in there and she's, oh, I've seen something like this before. And she uses her lock picks deftly and kicks, and he hears a click, and the door pops open just a little bit like a spring-loaded lock, and she pulls it back, and inside is a bag, a small sack. Looks like it's kind of an old leather sack, but it looks like it's got something in it. And the cache is actually probably about 3 feet wide. And she looks inside there and she notices that there's a couple of other items wrapped up in oilcloth or some kind of a cloth, and she pulls them all out. So finding all this stuff has made all of them go, ooh, nice. So inside the bag, they kind of pour it out into somebody's hand, and they realize it's full of gold coins. And inside there, they find 70 gold, and a ring. And wrapped up in the other oilcloth, or the cloth that's been dried out by now, it's been how long it's been there, they find a dagger and a longsword and a pendant on a silver chain. Thorum hands her the paper back and says, oh, great job in opening that up. What do we find? And so they found the 70 gold, a ring, a dagger, longsword, and a pendant on a silver chain. Alindra does a quick detect magic on it, and she realizes the ring is magical, the dagger is magical, and the pendant or the silver chain is magical. She's not sure which one, but one of those is giving off a magic aura. The long sword is not magical, but it is of exquisite make and quality. So they all decide this is probably not the best place to figure out what they found, but they kind of wrap it all up, put it in Thorum's backpack, and tie up the sword and stuff to Jaren's backpack so they can carry them. And Alindra takes the gold and the ring and puts it all back into the bag, and she puts it in her backpack. And they decide, let's just see what we can find and keep going. We're doing fine right now. So they decide to keep going. And so they come to a crossroads here. They said, let's just go this direction. So they come into here, and inside here, before they move up into the wall, into the opening, they notice that there's an unnatural light in this room. In fact, Alindra covers her pendant for a second, and they see a natural glow coming from inside the room, kind of a greenish look to it. And she's saying, interesting, there's natural light down here. And then, Does she hear something? Yes, she hears some kind of a noise from inside the area. And she tells the others, shh, oh, let me go check it, look, take a look. So she kind of sneaks up into here. It's cocked. Ooh, very good move silently. She needed a 17 and she rolled a base 17, so she sneaks up a little bit. And inside here, she sees in the back side of this area, it seems to be like a green glow coming from along the walls. And from the green glow, she sees like these silhouettes of these small creatures moving back and forth. And they look like they're doing something like, you know, maybe making a meal or some type or doing something. But they did not notice her as she moves silently. She steps back and she tells what she sees. So Thorum says, do we confront these creatures or leave them alone? We need to find out what's going on down here. She goes, well, let me step forward and see. She walks forward and says, excuse me, I'm Alindra. She's very young and she's inexperienced at some point with doing this. She's expecting a response. They all stop what they're doing and they kind of like look at her, and they all kind of do say something to her, and they say stuff to each other in a language she doesn't understand. It's all so they decide to leave him alone, and they move on to this last territory, and they come into this area and they realize that this is probably where there's a huge cave-in. There's rocks everywhere. Looks like even, you know, it just full-on cave-in. And it appears that this is where the goblins and orcs originally came from. There's no way out. So they all decide that this must be where they can't go anywhere else. They've looked everywhere else. So they basically head out of the dungeon, and they realize that they go and talk to Sten Doran, and they say, here, we discovered this writing, and maybe you can figure out who or what it is. And he says, very good, we will do that. Thank you. And he says, you may hold on to those Cure Light Wound potions. You know, you guys did a great job for us. So they'll have that paper deciphered, and our adventurers are going to get some rest. They did go through the whole of the cavern that they could, and they did tell Sten about the small group of individuals they found that seem to be peaceful, but they're living down there. So maybe they'll find a way to either work with them or figure out a way to get them out of there if they don't want to be there. So at the end of this adventure, they have discovered a few things that are still in the mystery, and maybe they'll find out next adventure or next episode. I'm sure they will. But our adventurers did very well. I mean, they had a moment of fierce fighting, but they decided that they were not going to give up, and they came back and finished up the scouting out of the caverns. I will roll up the magic and tell what they found and go through the XP and see how they're doing. And we'll start with the next episode with discussing what they found, and then where they're going from here. Especially if that deciphered message has any kind of pointing to where they need to go next. But there's also some people that are clamoring to have them do some work for them in other areas of the of Uruk and the region. So that is it for this time. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun running it. And we'll see you for the next episode. Take care.